success as an artist, and beyond being an artist, just you living in your power, right? Taking your power back really comes down to your ability to formulate a mentality in which God can work through. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching Dave Beyond TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today we're talking about what it really means to have God work through you. A lot of times we participate in the world and we get lost in things that have to do with a lot of whether it's our human side, right? So I like to divide things into three spaces in which we occupy down here, right? Three different experiences that we're having simultaneously. One of them being, the first one being the spiritual experience. So you as a spirit, right, above all of these different things, right? Really, actually, I should talk about it in reverse. The first one being the physical experience, where this is things that come down to money, you being able to pay your rent, work, job, school, things within society in which things have already been constructed in certain ways that we have to uphold in order to live a what's considered a prosperous or successful life in the physical world. So that's the physical experience. The next on top of that is the human experience, which is all about the emotional side of things, right? The emotions and our humanistic natures, our desires, things that make us feel comfortable, things that make us uncomfortable when we're in survival mode, things that we need like love and the different energies that we be in, the different moods that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. These are all to deal with the human experience, even the whole zodiac wheel, everything you think you are. And this is a big thing why I like to talk about astrology in a way of looking at it as a tool, not who you are. You aren't a Capricorn. That's not who you are. That's energies that you ways in which you see fit to express yourself. That's again that correlates to human natures, things that you are, tendencies that you might have on a subconscious level. But when you start to build upon your subconscious and you become a more powerful, aka a more aware spirit of what's going on and how to utilize these energies, when to do things, when not to do things. Because see, if you look at it, right, you being your humanistic natures are what keep you just doing the same thing over and over again. But when you decide for yourself and choose, make a decision, aka I'm not going to do that no more, or I'm going to do this to get a different result of my life, aka the ability, the power to change, the power to set your own path, the power to create your own way to feel about different things, and the power to actually dictate and direct your spaceship. That's all the spiritual experience. And again, how it really is that should be first and foremost. Your spiritual body, your spiritual experience should be the first thing that's in operation of everything. And then next, you want to go to more so, okay, now where are my human natures at? Where am I not satisfied? Where do I need to be satisfied, right? Where do I tend to feel this kind of way? Where do what are these different feelings? This becomes your psychology and things that you deal with, things that you need to work through, such as your own, everybody want to diagnose themselves with anxiety, depression, and all these different what's considered illnesses, these mental illnesses, but whole time it's like you actually as a spirit need to be able to take yourself out of these things. Like you actually have the keys to cure these things. You taking pills within the physical world, you taking different things of the world to try to heal something that you like. It gets deep, because it's like people trying to, it's like that's a mental, the you didn't take the pills and get the mental illness, so why would the pills reverse the illness? Now I know pills can set off certain chemicals that can help, but what kind of help is it? Because a lot of it just be to numb you. It don't be to actually solve the problem. Anything that has to do with your mentality, right? And I'm not talking about mental disabilities, because when you're born with a disability, that's you actually not coming here with the function. But when you're a normal person that at one point you can remember when you didn't have anxiety, or maybe you think you always had anxiety, still that's a mental illness. That's something that you as a spirit have the power to, if not cure, medicate on your own. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times the problem down here is that people don't really understand how to formulate their mentality. They don't know, right now everybody's getting patted on the back for having certain things, when the reality of it is right? And I'm not trying to speak in a way that's condescending or dismissive of other people's experiences, because I understand when you're going through certain things, especially things like depression, or I understand how these things affect the mind because they latch onto you. But see, the problem is, and why you can't get over it, is because you're associating yourself with those illnesses. And no, you created your mentality. So certain things that give you anxiety as a spirit, the test becomes how aware can you start to become of yourself, your true self, and how strong of a spirit are you able to separate that what you're calling a mental illness, separate that from who you are, and how are you going to utilize your power of choice to start to create the mentalities that you want to be in. And see, this is on like a just a personal level, but and this also relates to you as an artist. Like different artists, we all have to get over certain things and decide certain things for ourselves. And the thing is, so let's talk about what the topic is. First, let's do it in reverse. Let's talk about God. What is God? God is all possibilities. So again, on this channel, we separate from looking at things through a religious lens. Religion is something, again, that's not real. That's a piece of God. Look at that as like a demigod. A lot of these religions, all these religions are really just demigods. So God is all possibilities. Christianity is one possibility, as far as one of the many. So you need to understand that when you cling to a religion, this is what happens. You are choosing one strand of all possibilities. That's not the full spectrum of God. This is why a lot of times, if you act like, you see a lot of these individuals play out energies that are ungodly. And again, not to just pick on that one group, but everybody, every single religion is one strand of it. That's why things start to get very convoluted, and we have a lot of, again, people start to create wars off of these things, but really it's just different worldviews or mentalities fighting each other, trying to claim to be the one overall, or and they not even, again, in that narrative in and of itself is what actually keeps people lost. The people who follow these religions, that's just what keeps them lost, because the real power is in our ability to come together. Real God is all possibilities. So anything that's looking like separation or division ain't godly in the first place. In reverse, though, we do have to be spiritual and utilize separation, but what we're separating from is everything that keeps us divided, if that makes sense. Like when we talk about the seven, for instance, seven resembling the energy of like the angelic energy, right? A form of detachment, you know what I'm saying? To detach from those lower natures and create an idea that's from quote unquote higher above, but we're not talking about higher and lower. We just talk about higher in frequency, or higher in, as far as energy goes. So when we talk about certain things like that, separation is needed in order to get to a different space, right? A more elevated space, or a space in which you could look and kind of see more of the overarching idea. But the thing is that's different than because everything down here in the physical world is in reverse. So they preach that same separation, but instead they have y'all separating on the wrong things. Y'all still lost in the world, but they got y'all separated to where now you can't agree with your neighbor, or you don't care to listen to the opinion of the person next door. You don't care to build with that individual onto, again, real truth. Instead, y'all are kind of arguing and stuck in a loop, arguing falseness anyway. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not Jesus was a person here, or whether or not Jesus is this or that, whether this person that I'm seeing in my head, visualizing the superhero that someone created in my mind, whether or not this figure is real. That's not even the point of life. You know what I'm saying? Who cares? Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Those Bibles, those books, those holy texts aren't history books, and that's how they portray them to be. Or I won't even say that's how they portray them to be. This is how people ended up interpreting it. And of course, a lot of that is due to what was considered. It goes deep. You know what I'm saying? This video is less about that, but more about understanding like what we're really here to do. See, when you create a purpose for yourself, when you decide your mission, this has everything to do with you as an individual. So again, depending on how you want to live in this life, you can choose to cling to religion. But what I'm speaking goes beyond religion on a spiritual sense, understanding what you're here to do, what your message is here to be, right? And your message needs to come from a place, again, you want to, it needs to first of all look like you need to be it. You need to be it. It has to be in you. It can't be something that's on you. It can't be something you're chasing, something outside of yourself. You have to decide for yourself what are your gifts, what are your talents, right? But going forward in them, right? It's not about what it is that you choose as a talent. It's not about what it is that you choose to even do with your life. It's about how you go about it, right? It's about the fact that you made a choice and how you chose to go about it. Through the trials and tribulations, those become the story behind it, and the things that you can teach to another individual in a similar space, or and again, a similar space can be as broad as something everybody goes through as they're going about their life on their journey, right? So when it comes down to things, right, the reason I say, your ability to formulate a mentality in which God could work through, not the religious God. I'm talking about all possibilities, because that's where it comes down to understanding. That's when it comes down to understanding. Okay, do walking, but that's what it comes down to understanding how to do it. Because that's the thing. We all have dreams. We all have goals, and we wonder sometimes why it seems like we can't reach those things, or what is it about me that, because it's always you getting in your own way first. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, the first way to become a hater, the first way to kind of mess yourself up is to believe that it's something outside of you that's causing you to not reach your goals. Because even if you're in an environment that doesn't support that, you have to be the spirit that makes a choice and a decision to move to a place that's more prosperous for you. You have to be aware of your situation, right? And you can't just pray for things. You need to be creating solutions for yourself. So it's like, even if you're not confident in your music, you need to figure out a way. You can either get better or figure out, and really you need to decide to put it out anyway. Or anything you do, you need to be able to make it make sense for you. You might need that 9 to 5 job, but you love to paint. But until you create a situation, a solution to paint full time, you might have to balance things. And sometimes, again, God needs to see you go through the uncertainty. God needs to see you go through, again, because in that uncertainty is the decision. You build the muscle in those moments that will determine your outcome. Because again, you didn't deserve it if you didn't make the choice to do it, regardless if you was going to get recognition, regardless if you even feel like you did it right, regardless of if it's what was on your heart to do and you chose not to do it. You didn't deserve anything that came from the result of you doing it. And the funny thing is, the most ironic thing is, you'll never know until you do it. And that's what we're supposed to learn here. You're supposed to embrace those moments of learning what you actually capable of and what you're not capable of, or what was. Again, we are not meant to live complacent in potential. We are here to expand beyond what we thought was even possible. That's what God needs to see. God loves when we do what God is. Play out all possibilities. You are a unique individual. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, like, really the trick is really going deep within yourself. And this is why we talk about knowing yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is why we talk about doing shadow work, truly going within and uncovering new things about yourself. Every experience should be a new layer that you explore. Every transit, a new layer. Like I said in a previous video, your astrology is you took a snapshot when you was born, that moment, and we're using that, right, to describe the energies you as a spirit chose to come into. That's just a vehicle. As you go throughout your life, though, every day is another snapshot. a new awareness that you add on. So now you express this with the knowledge of all this, your life experience, you know what I'm saying? And that's powerful in and of itself. I know it sounds simple, but understand how powerful that is, because you're always going to have a unique perspective over everything that we're currently going through. And this helps you look at life as a library rather than thinking that, again, because a lot of times people get stunted in their growth. People don't know. Again, I know the number one fear of a lot of people making music is, or there's too many people making music, or what if I run out of something to talk about? I remember that was something that I thought about, like, what if I run out of something to talk about, back way before I started. And what you realize is that there's never not going to be something to talk about, because every day of your life is something. Now, if you've created a situation in which you go through a lot of mundane days, that's more of something you need to realize for yourself. And the cure to that is not to give up, is to put yourself in certain situations that's not mundane. Participate in the world differently. See, there's a solution there. It's like you have to see, God don't give a fuck about the excuses, because to God, you must not have wanted that. And what I say, that we have to also separate the idea that God is a person looking at you like how I'm speaking to you. This is just a good way to understand the mentality that you have to be in. But you have to understand the nature of things. Like, if you have to create a mentality in which God can work through. So that means that you need to play out characteristics that look like what God is. And if we know that God is all possibilities, you need to be the representation of your unique way of making something possible. So if you have a dream and goal, you have to take who you are, because that's the only thing you can truly use. See, people fuck themselves up when they don't want to use themselves. They want to use what you've seen this celebrity do. They want to use this person. They want to use money to play out and do the things that they know. You have to be what it is that you are dreaming about. You have to be that. Believe it. You have to be in that. And as you express that, again, your uniqueness is the resource. You as an individual are the resource. So your unique experiences and your snapshot, that is what is actually to be used to experience these things, to push these things out. So that's what you got to keep in mind, right? You have to keep in mind that, and you have to hone in on that. And like I said, this is where the next part comes in, where it's like formulating the actual mentality, because that's a practice in and of itself as well, because you're going to have many different thoughts, many different feelings about everything you're experiencing, right? The thing is, as you go through your life, as you know yourself, you're going to have to start to learn how to, again, create a mentality that reflects all possibilities and not get stuck in the limited possibilities of when you're operating from your human world or your human mind, because the mind is limited. This humanistic world is limited. The physical world is deceiving, because the physical world convinced you. Again, the physical world is just as nonsensical as the spiritual one, because in the physical world, I mean, this piece of paper or this piece of metal means money, or means 25 cents or $1, right? So this is all people's interpretation of things. So you can get lost easily in these, you know what I'm saying? You get lost easily in the physical world. And that's why I say everything there is reversed, because the interpretations they gave us, it's in reverse. We think we have to work for the money, when the whole time we have to be the money. We have to be the value. We have to make that money come to us, make it possible for us to receive whatever resources necessary for us to maintain a situation in which we can live in. You know what I'm saying? But it can easily turn into you being too much in the spiritual sense to not have a realistic idea of what is necessary in the world, aka you being too spiritual, you relying too much on faith, and you still end up doing the ritual backwards, aka you still doing things from that spiritual space trying to get money, when that's not even what the spirit is for. The spirit is not for you to try to make $1 million. You know, manifestation ain't for trying to get $1 million. Like, a lot of times it goes it goes deeper than that, in the sense of it's the ability or the access or the possibility to get there. And that's what having faith is as well. Because again, having faith is you being able to have room to know, okay, all possibilities can play out. So somewhere out there is a possibility of me getting everything I need for this situation to work out in a positive way in my life. That's having faith. That can go too far, but the whole idea is, again, the whole thing about this life is like it's the practice, putting into practice the ability to formulate mentalities that God can work through. Because with the right attitude, with the right perspective, again, you have that view of all possibilities. God can then do things through you, where it's like those moments in which you end up creating something or doing something that, again, is like miraculous, where you feel blessed. You feel not less than, but you were given something greater than what you could have ever imagined, through a skill in which at a certain point you realize, again, you creating your best song, this is God working through you, where you create a message, or through your expression, through your uniqueness, you express yourself in a way in which, again, it's unexplainable, but that very thing is what set you apart from the rest. That very thing is what made you special. And again, we got to be careful even with like saying special, because it's not about you having something special. It's just God worked through you on that. You know what I'm saying? God was able to work through you. You had the right answer at the right time. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Different situations be playing out where, again, when you in situations where things all fall down, or, you feel like you're restricted with things that you've been given, this is when you're doing the other way around. You know what I'm saying? Where now that's not God working through you. That's you working for the devil, or that's you working for, and the devil just being, again, the desires that you wanted. So whenever you look, and this is why, again, if you have the wrong mentality, working this 9 to 5, you're always going to be, again, living check to check, but not a comfortable check to check, literally having to sacrifice so much time, so much effort, because you were chasing something. You know what I'm saying? Chasing this, chasing that. You're not enjoying life. Everything to you is the hustle. Everything to you is the struggle. And even if you want to smile and act like you got it going on and stuff like that, deep down inside, you know that you live in life where your head is like almost tipping over. Like, it's almost like running, but your legs aren't fast enough for your body. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you falling head first for things. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that ends up being the whole situation. So it's a lot of layers to certain things going on, where, you have to keep a clear mind. Your mentality has to be on that space of, this is why meditation and stuff like that is important, what it's actually here for, clearing out your mind. But the whole idea behind it is, again, like I said, mentalities, because your mentality is your thoughts and feelings. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we receive these things, but these things are tools for us to utilize. So it's like I said earlier, it's more like a library of things, where there's an infinite amount of things that you can take and utilize here. But the whole thing is formulating a mentality in which God can work through. This is where you actually do what is needed here. This is you expanding the universe. This is you bringing something new into existence. And again, nothing new under the sun. That's what the library is. But there's always a new way for it to be expressed. There's always a new way for it to be seen. And that's where things become great. That's where the innovation takes place. That's when, I recognize that. That's where you are in that space where you are now putting out your unique energy signature. And this is what we're all trying to unlock. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's why I say success. And I say success, but there's many different ways to consider success. Success ain't got to be world recognition, but this is self-recognition or self-actualization. I don't even want to use that word because it's something somebody else had, but I just mean living your life in a way in which you are fully in your power. You know what I'm saying? I know life is always a progression. You know what I'm saying? It's always you going through new experiences, being better, but you living the life that you're supposed to live, manifesting the things for yourself that you're supposed to manifest. That's a different feeling. That's what success is. You living like, you know what I'm saying? You might still go through trials and tribulations, but you could live in a space of gratitude. You could look at your life and be satisfied or feel fulfilled just being you. That's what the goal is. And being you really is the first step. That's why it's like knowing yourself. Being you is the first step to formulating a mentality in which God could work through. Because again, God is all possibilities. So through you, there is a possibility that all those unique dreams and visions and goals that you have for yourself can be experienced. But it's up to you to actually have the willpower to put that in place, for you to actually go about your life in a way where you are able to structure these things and make it make sense, make it work for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just, we all have to go through that back and forth where we're not sure of ourselves. We have to try this, try that. And this is really what I want for the world. And because we all need to get, I believe that is where the magic happens. It's just we get in our own way, you know what I'm saying? But, and there's going to be times where, we all make mistakes and we all end up, having to learn our lessons, having to go through our times of being more so in our lower natures, have to go through times where we are more concerned with the physical world and trying to get that right. We have to go through all these different experiences in order to build anything up, you know what I'm saying? But the whole idea of it is just to understand that at the same time, if you are an artist or you're just, again, living life and wondering, what, because not everybody feels like they doing something special here, but we all have a role to play. You know what I'm saying? And we all have a position in the grand scheme of things. And I think that's one of the things, too, about just the new, age of Aquarius type vibe, where it's like we all should recognize where we fit in. You know what I'm saying? But in that is God working through you. You know what I'm saying? Knowing your community, within your community, you might just feel like, because I know it's like a lot of people just might not feel, because the cool thing to do is to express yourself and be a celebrity, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, or an influencer, or, but that's not even really what people are chasing. People are chasing freedom or the ability to just be, hopefully to be themselves. Yeah, that hopefully that is what y'all looking for. What the heck is that? Leave in my hair. Anyway, yeah, but whatever that looks like to you, that freedom, whatever that looks like to you, the freedom to be yourself and being happy in that, whatever that looks like to you, that's cool. But we all here trying to get to that space where we can, live how we want to live and all that. But it gets crazy sometimes looking outside, because all these different technologies coming out and stuff like that. It's not about being afraid of them. It's like, again, all of this stuff is tools at our disposal. I like to make these videos so to help people who might feel scared, or help people who just don't understand, or even the people who do understand and just watching, like to help push y'all forward. So we all pushing each other forward through what we create and inspiring each other and shit like that. But that's the whole thing. Like, we all trying to figure it out, So I feel like this is just, we all do our part based upon us expressing our true self. That's what made YouTube special. That's what makes all this internet shit worth it. Worth it to be on the internet. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because it gave me a outlet to express myself and actually help somebody else across the world. Like I was speaking about in that New Age trap video, we do need to do some physical community shit though. I don't think it was ever supposed to always all be online. You know what I'm saying? I think that shit does play out. That's important too. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying though, it's just we all got a role to play. You feel me? So it's like, but this is what we all need to be doing on our own time, because this is that internal battle that we all go through. Is how do we formulate a mentality in which God could work through? And this goes again, like I'm speaking in the lens of a career, but it's deeper than that. It's you as an individual, you as a spirit, because we all have to figure out how to balance our energies to express ourselves in a more godly manner. And godly not looking like godly, not meaning perfect. Godly simply meaning our version of all possibilities being played out, aka us being our true self. And again, if everyone's being a true self, this is us expanding. This is every puzzle piece working together. This ain't discourse and disarray and war and all this shit. Not to say that we can't butt heads and disagree, but if I'm being my true self and you being your true self, there's respect there. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have to act in ways that try to prove you wrong, because that's more demonic. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta act in ways to prove you wrong. I don't have to. I can learn from you, or I could just choose to not agree, or play out a different space. You know what I'm saying? So there's many different things that you could look at as far as understanding how these things interact and play out with each other. It's just like there's different ways to go about it, right? But this is just me kind of speaking on this because that's what it kind of hit me. Is just like formulating a mentality God can work through is really what we need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? But that, again, that takes shadow work. That's why I say it's an individual thing, because you have to go through the shadow work. You have to go through, and again, you can't just shadow work in a space by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to get out in the world too and interact, because people will show you different sides of yourself that you never could see. Because it's just, again, that's why we in a world with other people, to interact, to relate, to expand through one another. You know what I'm saying? Through the connection of one another, to care for each other, to love one another, to be angry at each other, to fight one another. You know what I'm saying? Different things all play out in ways in which we're all just doing this to learn about ourselves so that we can do the proper work. And it's just like a lot of folks just get, not everybody remembers that that's the point, allowing God to work through us. And again, it goes deeper, because that's what more correlated to people on a path. You know what I'm saying? People on a path. But even if you're not on your path, like I said, everybody plays a role. I want to go further and stuff like that, but I got to bounce and stuff like that. So, yeah. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind when you're going through different things, like especially on your grind and doing what you need to do. Because what happens is, on your spiritual path, it's like somewhere down the line, we want to align who we truly are with a way in which we can make our physical world satisfied. And because our human world needs it, our human experience needs it. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes into we all having dreams and goals, ways in which we want to live. But we looking at the physical world like, fuck am I about to do about this? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you are tapping into, your true self, and you do something that's correlated, because it's hard to talk about that, because it's like different careers. Like, say you're an accountant, you know what I'm saying? That's not really a creative field, but it's a route you could take, you know what I'm saying? But for the sake of this, just speaking on, I really believe it's anything you do, because there's an art to that too. If you're good at it, there's a way you can utilize it in a way that could work for whatever your dream and goal is. But it's just like, no matter what you do, as you approach those things that feel uncomfortable, you having to take those leaps of faith, just remember, like, you have to take the accountability, take the initiative to create the mentality in which God can work through. And there's a lot of things God can't work with, and that's fear. That's anything that looks too heavy, that's you thinking too hard, that's you having doubts, that's you thinking something is not possible. God, create the mentality in which God can work through. Something that God will look at and say, oh yeah, that's powerful. That's a powerful spirit. AKA you going through the trials and tribulations and choosing to create the mentality, the positive thought, the positive feeling, even in the face of doubt, deception, danger, pain, whatever it is, struggle. That is the fight. You know what I'm saying? Formulate the mentality that God can work through, and you will see the results one way or another. You know what I'm saying? Much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.